Hey y'all, welcome in and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah with a Y. And I'm gonna upload this video, no editing, so I'm gonna try not to make it too long. As y'all can tell by the title, we're gonna talk about the trip to Florida that I went on. I was supposed to do a vlog for y'all and I didn't, because you'll understand why in a second. Be sure you like this video, thumbs up the video, subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already, and leave your disaster vacation stories in the comments, okay? Because I want to know it, because I know I'm not the only one that has some terrible stories, right? So I went to Florida with some girls that I met off TikTok. Aisha, y'all know her from Aisha's Life and her Aisha and Shay channel, and then Blind Beauty. She also has a YouTube channel and she also has a TikTok page. I went with her, those two ladies, and like four other women. And we had planned this trip. We had been planning this trip for not quite a year, but maybe a little less than a year. And so we settled on Orlando, Florida, because one of the girls already lived there and Disney was there, and a lot of us hadn't been to Disney before, so boom. Okay. The flight coming to Orlando was fine. It was after we got to Orlando that shit started to hit the fan. So after we landed in Orlando, we got there, I think, a little bit earlier than what our flight time originally was, right? So, but the only problem was we had two other flights come in and land at the same time that we did. So we had to wait for them to deboard, and we had to wait for them to do all the stuff that they usually do when, you know, your plane's getting deboarded, getting baggage, and to get all that kind of stuff, right? And that felt like it took a little over an hour. It took a long time because we sat and waited for a long time. And in between that time, I ended up texting my friends, letting them know, like, hey, I'm still here. I'm here at the airport. They were stuck in traffic because we sent each other, I don't know if you can do it with Androids, but I know with iPhones now, if you give them your flight number, I believe it is, somebody your flight number, or you text it to them or whatever, they can track your flight. They can see when you're coming in and all that kind of stuff. So we did that to make sure that everybody landed safely, and to make sure that, you know, nobody got lost, or if anybody's flight did get delayed, it wouldn't be like a surprise or anything like that. So that was cool. I like the fact that we had that feature. So I gave them, I put my flight number in our group chat, and that's how they were able to track the flight. But when I text them, I was like, you know, I'm here. They were stuck in traffic, so I still had to wait. I'm like, we're still sitting on the plane right now, yada yada yada. Okay, we finally get off the plane. Once we get off the plane, I still had to wait for like another 20 or 30 minutes before they found somebody to help assist me, because I got like the disability services or whatever. When you go to the airport, you can get a wheelchair if you're a disabled person, and they will roll you through the airport. I recommend everybody get it. I know you can walk. I understand that. But when you're pushed for time, it's so much more convenient to have somebody, to have like that wheelchair there and them wheeling you through the airport. Doesn't mean that you can't walk. It's just for convenience purposes. Okay, that's really what that is. And it especially helps when you have a huge airport and it can be crowded. It really helps. It's just more convenient, and it makes it easier to be able to get through the process quickly and efficiently. Like it's just convenient. Okay, so I use it all the time. I take full on advantage. After all that, so they give me a woman who really doesn't speak a whole lot of English. Her English isn't really all that good, and that's not an issue for me, because it's like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I was already irritated at the fact that I had to wait for a long time, and it looked like they were short staffed that night, and it was very busy at the airport. So she's not really talking to me and telling me where we're going or what we're doing. Like, there was a point where we got in an elevator and I didn't even notice where we were until we started to go down. I'm like, oh, would have been nice if she had said, wow, excuse me, that we were in an elevator. It would have been nice if she had said that. So that happened. And then after we get through all of that, we had to wait for our bags, and that took a good little minute. Because again, remember, I told you that two other planes landed at the same time, so they were getting their bags first, and then we would get ours. And that was tough. So I finally got my bags. By the time I got out of that goddamn airport, it was like 11 o'clock, after 11 o'clock, almost 12. The airport itself is already like a 30-minute drive from where we were. So I didn't get to where I was going until like 12. I didn't make it there till 12 o'clock. Okay. Once I got there, they had like a little surprise thing planned, but it was kind of ruined because I got there so goddamn late and it was really annoying. But it was cool. It was fun. I got like some gifts. I made a TikTok video about that. It's in my, I think it's in my trips and vacations playlist. But yeah. So that happened. This is where Florida had me fucked up though. Thursday rolls around and we decide that we're gonna go to Disney. Now we had already planned to go to Disney at around lunchtime. What I know now is that it gets hot at around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's already 80 or 90 degrees already. And it's hot. It's like, it's not humid. It's hot. It's just hot. Like, and when we got out of the house, I hadn't really eaten anything. Like I had like a little cake or something like that. And I was drinking water, trying to stay dehydrated. But that when you come to Florida, you have to have at least 4 bottles of water on you at all times, just so that you can stay dehydrated, at least. Or bring like one of them gallon pitchers of water, because that's a different type of heat. That heat don't play. And I'm telling you, it's some in that heat that like after you get back from Florida, shit just starts transpiring. And you'll see what I mean in a second. But like, so we go to Disney and we're speed walking through Disney, like, which I feel like doesn't really make it any better, because it doesn't matter how fast you walk, you're still going to be hot, and we're sweating. Everything is sweating. My whole entire body is sweating. Like I feel like parts of my body that normally wouldn't sweat was sweating, y'all. I'm talking about, we had on our Mickey ears and I lifted those up and no, that was sweating. It was just a lot going on. Now here's where it's like it becomes a disaster. We were in Epcot. We decided we were going to go to Epcot, which is where all the food is. And then we came during like the Food and Gardens Festival or whatever. We were walking around, Epcot is like, it's like around the world. So you're walking and you got like American food, Mexican food, you've got African food, you've got French food, British, all that kind of stuff, right? We were in like the Korean food. I think we were in the Korea. We were in some country that had like Asian food. I can't remember. So we get to Mexico. We're getting ready to get a taco. I didn't even get to walk around to get my taco before I'm like, y'all, I'm about to faint. I took a few steps and when I got to a wall, I literally slid down and I had to sit down before I literally fainted. And they got me some water and they ended up taking me to first aid because it was just so fucking hot. So my sister's watching TV. If you hear her laughing, that's why. So we're sitting here. I'm sitting in first aid. One of the girls came with me. They ended up checking my blood pressure. They ended up asking me, just the, I guess, primary questions or whatever. I sat in first aid for like 2 or 3 hours. I had to cool off. I had to get myself together, right? It was just terribly hot. We later found out that it was one of the hottest days in Florida. And that I think it was like 106 degrees, but the index made it feel like it was like 115 or something like that. I can't remember. Either way, it was hot. If they say it felt like it was 115, it was 115. That's just what that was. So I stayed in first aid for like 2 or 3 hours. They finally come back to get me because my friends come back to get me because they couldn't find any staff members with like where I was to kind of help me find my friends. So I spend the rest of the time at Disney. I ride the Frozen ride and we end up staying and watching all the fireworks and stuff like that at the end of the day. Cool. I ended up missing a good bit of the trip though, because I just felt like I really didn't get to experience the park in the way that I would have wanted to. And I will say that like in being there in Disney, when you're with a bunch of blind people, it can be really, really hard to kind of figure out what is what and where to go. And sometimes GPS doesn't always work well, because blind people have a tendency to veer. And so when you veer, you know, the GPS is trying to give you direction, like it may or may not reroute you because it, as far as they know, you're going the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Um, one of the girls ended up leaving as soon as I came back. She left because she said, "My feet are hurting me. I'm tired. It's hot, and I just need to go home." And that was, you know, it is what it is. And then she ended up not even being able to participate in the rest of the festivities because it was just like, my feet are hurting me and I don't really feel well, and I'm just not here for it. So the next day rolls around, we have a photo shoot. We end up going to get our makeup done, for that, to take our pictures. Um, and we were late to our reservation at Wolfgang Puck. The food was not all that, but this is where I kind of got a little bit annoyed. And this is not to talk about these ladies in any way, but some of the girls in the group, they it's like they have issues with asking for help sometimes. And it's like, if you don't know where to go, then there's nothing wrong with asking. There's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, can you walk with us to get to it?" Because at this point, like, it's to a point where we're already late as it is, and it's dark, and a lot of the girls there, they had vision, but it's only worth a damn when it's light outside. And that's not me being, nasty or nothing like that. That's just me being real. You can't depend on a light to tell you where to go, because that light could shine off of anything and it could throw you off. You know what I'm saying? So there was that. And then it was also like, you had certain people that were letting it be known that their mobility skills were maybe better than others, and it's just like, we don't that there's no need to do all that. And that's both in the park and like on the day we went to Disneyland or Disney World, like walking through Epcot, and like kind of also going to Disney Springs to go to our restaurant reservation. So there was that as well. And it was just one of them things where, when you're walking with a bunch of blind people, it's very easy to get frustrated, especially when you have somebody who wants to be the leader and, just doesn't want to ask for help, or doesn't want to um, receive help from other people. That can be quite frustrating. And then also, too, we were trying to use the GPS to get back. And like I said, when you're a blind person trying to use something, that doesn't always work. So then it comes time for us to go home. We were there for like 4 days, four days, 5 nights, 5 days, 4 nights, however. It's time for us to go home. It's Sunday. We end up getting to the airport 2 hours before our check-in window starts. I think you can only check in 4 hours before your flight. We got there 6 hours before. So they were like, you had to wait. So we had to sit, we had to sit in the airport, and we had to wait for 2 extra hours before we could even check in. And we still ended up having to wait again because we all took different flights. I flew Frontier. I'll never fly Frontier again either, because like Spirit, they make you pay for your bags and on top of the flight. So it's like, you might as well, for the $300 or however many dollars that you're paying for per flight, you might as well just go fly Delta or Southwest or something like that, where you at least get one free checked bag, or your bags will fly free if they're under a certain weight limit. But we ended up having to wait on that. One of the girls ended up getting sick, and I think as a result, those of us that were around her, we caught her cold or whatever it was that she had. But after Florida, this is why I say it was a bit of a disaster, because after Florida, nothing was the same between none of the girls that I went on the trip with. In fact, we had some of the girls fall out with each other as a result. And we really don't talk as much as we used to. And I feel like people were tired after Florida. That was another part of it. And then also, people had some feelings about how certain people handled certain situations in Florida, and they just weren't feeling it. Their feelings about the situation were much deeper than everybody else's feelings about the situation. And instead of them having a conversation with you know, certain people, they ended up lashing out at the wrong time, and that caused like that ultimately caused the downfall of that entire group of girls. But me and Florida gonna always have beef because it was extremely hot, extremely. And but I would honestly love to do it again. And I would love to get the full Disney experience. I'd like to go to Disney for like 4 days and experience all their parks, all the food, all the restaurants, all the things. Um, just so that I can say that I actually had an enjoyable time at Disney, knowing what I know now. But yeah, Disney was a disaster for my first time because I damn near fainted. I almost died. But yeah, that's my Disney story. That's my Florida story. I will say this though, just a little bit of advice. Make sure I will say this: the three girls that I went with, there were seven, there were six other girls in the group that I, excluding me, there were six women that I went on this trip with. I knew half of them. I knew one of the girls. I met one of the girls on a Discord. I met the other one, and the other two we started talking because Aisha, we were talking in each other's DMs on TikTok, and then we took it to Instagram, and then we got each other's numbers, and then Blind Beauty, same thing. We started talking in TikTok DMs, and we were talking to each other on Instagram, and then from Instagram we ended up getting each other's numbers. And then with Shy, which is another girl, as the YouTube channel, we went from Discord to us talking, us getting exchanging phone numbers. So we all ended up having a group together. And what I will say is that make sure that you really know the people that you're going on these trips with, because you never really know how things are going to play out once you get home or once you get into the destination that you're going to. Whatever underlying issues y'all have, be sure you solve those issues before you take y'all ass out of the state, out of the country, or whatever, because we would hate for it to be a situation where everybody comes home but you. You know what I'm saying? Or y'all come home and now y'all can't even like have a conversation because it's gotten so far, it's gotten to the point where there's no amount of talking that can be done that will fix whatever issues y'all had. Because that was some of the things that happened in our group. Without even getting too much into it, that was some of the things that happened just with the four of us. Like there were a couple girls who just didn't vibe right, didn't vibe well, and things just didn't get fixed, and as a result it ended a friendship. So I will say that just make sure that you your friends, really really good friends with these women, make sure, try to plan a meetup with them individually first, and maybe gradually work in your other friends. I think that's a good I think that's a good way to start. Gradually work in all of your other friends, and then that way at least you know that you can vibe with certain people like that I mean, at least you know that by the time you do decide you want to go on a trip for 4 days or 3 days or 2 weeks or whatever, you'll know that, hey, we're going to get along and we're going to be fine, as opposed to everybody doing it for the first time and then everybody's personalities not meshing, and it end up being like a whole dissolution of a friendship. So yeah, that's my advice. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Be sure you thumbs up the video, comment, leave your vacation horror stories in the comments. Let me know how it all ended. Let me know if you would do it again. And also subscribe to my channel. Be sure you click that bell and press all so you can get all my notifications, and that way you don't miss a single one of my videos. And I will see y'all in the next one.